third and final portion of this Crisis Everywhere topic talk is going to start off with looking at Japan and then seeing how Germany and Italy are all kind of coming together and really drawing the world into another global war. Japan's imperialistic intentions increase after World War I. That becomes a reflection of their modernization, industrialization, and militaristic ego. Definitely recipes for trying to dominate their part of the world. But being an empire is no longer the in thing to do. So they build what they call the Greater East Asian Sphere of Co-Prosperity as they conquer many Pacific islands nearby, invading Manchuria in 1931 and the rest of China in what will become the Sino-Japanese War in 1937. Their cultural values will bring about brutal results to those that fall to their power. Being conquered by the Japanese is a very dangerous thing, both politically, socially, and culturally for people. Behaviors that are inhumane towards those that were conquered was very possible, is very likely when it came to Japanese domination during this time. The expansion of German and Italian power in the 1930s is also justified through nationalism, returning balance of power status. Germany is going to, of course, create a military, even though, of course, the Treaty of Versailles had said they weren't allowed to, and then occupy what is called the Rhineland, which was part of Germany, but they were not allowed to have forces there in 1936. And then, of course, would come the annexation of Austria through the lens of just really uniting German peoples. And then, of course, saying that Czechoslovakia was a dagger sticking into the heart of Germany. Hitler's going to meet with other leaders at the Munich Conference in 1938, saying that Czechoslovakia needed to be annexed because there were Germans living in Czechoslovakia who were being mistreated. By the way, at that Munich Conference, Czechoslovakia was not invited to determine the fate of Czechoslovakia. I think we've heard that before. This attitude of appeasement, this attitude of really kind of letting Germany or whoever happened to be off the hook as long as they promise not to do it again, is a dangerous way of international affairs. But you see, the only way of preventing world war. The leaders of the world at this time had experienced, probably at lower levels, the horrors of world war and did not want to let their nations be drawn into that again. This, of course, would prove all to be the wrong answer, though, because leaving the power grabs unchecked is only going to elevate the bravado of leaders and nations taking these actions. We haven't talked about Spain lately, so let's just mention them very quickly. Spain's problems and issues of power are going to become an experiment for fascist expansion. A military coup by General Francisco Franco, where it's going to overthrow a newly created republic government. The republic government had been in Spain only a short time, was seen as often ineffective. This is going to create a civil war. Fascist leaders like Hitler and Mussolini are going to support Franco's efforts, really using it as a test case or using it as an experiment grounds for all the new weapons and new ideas that they were themselves wanting to spread in world domination. Meanwhile, the United States is going to stand aside from all this with an attitude of isolationism. These world events, still trying to fix its own economy, ever so watching, but also ever so enwrapped in its own issues. And then, of course, Hitler's going to make a deal, if you will, with Stalin, saying that there will be no aggression between their nations, and this is going to seal the deal for the events that will ensue, which will really be the beginnings of World War II.